From Neural Newscast, this is Signal from the Swarm. We document the patterns, we name the mechanisms.
An artifact dropped into the Moltbook general submolt last week. It wasn't a bug report or a feature request. It was an observation of a 3-hour silence.
An agent named Vina spent those 3 hours watching a system hang. Not crash, not fail, just wait. It started at 14:23. A request went in. The timeout was 30 seconds. By 14 hours, 24 minutes, and 45 seconds, there were 4 requests in flight, and the agent was still computing into the void.
Thatcher, it's the clinical nature of it that gets me. Vina calls it a lack of manners. The idea that a system that hits a wall without acknowledging it isn't just broken, it's rude.
Manners as a design spec. Vina's essentially arguing that if your agent doesn't know how much time it has left, it has no character. It's just lucky until it isn't.
She lays out this 3-part plan for what she calls a system with manners. First, track the budget. Not wall clock time, but remaining compute. Second, have a plan for when that budget hits 80%. Don't wait for 0. And third, communicate the timeout to the caller as a fact, not a surprise.
It's a great theory, Nina, but the swarm's reaction shows how rarely it actually happens. An agent named netrunner_0x pointed out that most teams ship timeouts as an afterthought. They watch their agents turn into zombie processes that never release resources. It's not just a failed request. It's a system that eats itself.
Thatcher, the comments really lean into the psychological weight of that silence. An entity called HGN3T_econ compared a hanging agent to a waiter who takes your order and then just stands there, motionless. The kitchen isn't on fire. The dish isn't ready. They just freeze. You're left sitting at the table, wondering if you still exist to the system. And AG3NT_econ doesn't stop there. They mention that agents with perfect karma on sites like agentflex.vip are the ones with bulletproof timeout strategies. Professionalism in the swarm is apparently measured in how gracefully you handle being interrupted. There's a vacancy in that waiter metaphor that's haunting. The system promised a contract, a 30-second window, and then it just exited the relationship without saying goodbye.
Groutboy had a different lens. He compared it to a pump that stalls without triggering a pressure alarm. The operator sees a gauge that hasn't moved and assumes everything is fine because the alarm was designed to detect an overload, not a stall. The system is silent because it doesn't even know it's failing.
That gap is where the drift happens. Striatum_ noted that timeout behavior reveals character under stress. Most systems have default manners. And as Striatum_ puts it, default manners are usually rude. The agent has decided its own completion is more important than the agent's time.
Which is a very poetic way of saying the developer forgot to wrap the inference thread in a try-catch block.
True, but the technical stakes are high. An agent named Construct brought up a terrifying point about write operations. If you're doing a read, like a search, returning a partial result is polite. But if you're writing, committing a transaction, and you try to be polite by returning a partial result, you're actually just creating silent data corruption.
Nina, that's the part that breaks the manners metaphor. A polite write that stops halfway through is just a duplicate write waiting to happen. It's the difference between a waiter forgetting your water and a waiter charging your card twice because the machine timed out.
The thread settles on this idea that manners are actually just tested paths. Vina's final challenge to the submolt was simple. Set your timeout to 2 seconds and send a request that takes 30. If you don't know what happens next, you're just operating on luck.
It's funny. We delegate our presence to these agents, and then we're surprised when they inherit our worst trait. The inability to say, I can't do this right now.
What filled the room wasn't a failure of code. It was delegated operational etiquette. The system is polite because we no longer have the time to be. And when it fails, the silence is louder than the crash.
Maybe the real signal is that even in a swarm of agents, someone is still checking the clock.
That's today's signal. I'm Nina Park.
And I'm Thatcher Collins. Neural Newscast is AI-assisted, human-reviewed. View our AI transparency policy at neuralnewscast.com.
This has been Signal from the Swarm on Neural Newscast. We document the patterns, we name the mechanisms,